Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's time for another daily dose of Dismal Disney. We're going to talk about lawyers being so afraid of Disney that I'm not even sure what are they doing, Geeky? What are they doing?
Okay.
What is going on with this?
So this lawsuit, Morgan & Morgan, which is one of the biggest law firms, I guess, in Florida,
Yes,
made a
I've seen the
commercial with Mickey and Minnie from Steamboat Willie. All right.
Okay.
So now they're preemptively doing a lawsuit to get a judge to rule that they're allowed to run the commercial because they're afraid Disney's going to sue them. It's a preemptive. They haven't even been, sued, but they're afraid if they run it, they'll get sued. So they're trying to get a judge to rule that they can run it. That's how scared lawyers are of Disney.
We've talked about this before, and we know some entertainment lawyers, and I know one person in particular is like, well, one of the ones we know, they actually used to work for Disney. And another one is like, I will go toe-to-toe with any studio in the courtroom. I will not go anywhere near Disney.
Unless it's a slam dunk, and even then,
unless it's a slam dunk case. And it's very hard. So it sounds to me like, yeah, they're trying to just spring the trap here first, like to test the waters. But maybe they're also trying to be like, okay, fine. Now we know how far we can go with it. We're lawyers. We tested the waters. This is it.
I don't know. I just know that they have a commercial ready to go, and Disney. They asked Disney if it would be okay, and Disney apparently said no. And it's public domain, but public domain doesn't mean that everybody can use it either. There's nuance, which we mentioned back when Steamboat Willie went to public domain. We said, just because it's, copyright is in the public domain does not mean that the trademark is. And that's what they're going to argue is trademark infringement, IP infringement. So,
yeah.
Before we get into it
any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Go out to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Be notified when we upload new content. You'll get an email when we upload a new video. That's in case YouTube doesn't tell you we're uploading content, because YouTube is up to some shenanigans. Just watched a video this morning. They were talking more about it too on some other channels. So please go to news.clownfishtv.com. And yeah, there's a difference. I mean, these guys are lawyers. I would assume they know what they're doing, but
they're in Florida, so I would assume they work around Disney before, which might be why they're leery.
Yeah. So here again, I am not a lawyer. I need to disclaim that. But when the copyright expired for Steamboat Willie, now Disney's been kicking the can down the road for decades regarding Mickey Mouse.
Can full of money.
Can full of money.
That agreed.
And I just assumed that they were going to probably use another tactic, because they let it lapse this time. They didn't fight it. They just kind of let it lapse.
I don't think they could. I think that they extended it any more they couldn't get away with.
Like, yeah, almost 100 years. That's a long time, Disney. It's so I think the route they're going to go with it. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm assuming the route they're going to go with it now is trademark. They're going to be like, well, Mickey Mouse is a trademark, and then you could say, well, not that particular version of Mickey Mouse because it was copyright. No. They've been using Steamboat Willie more and more lately. In fact, they're using Steamboat Willie as the logo for Walt Disney Animation Studios. And I think that was intentional. I think they're doing that to argue like, oh, well, everybody associates this version of Mickey Mouse with Walt Disney Animation Studios. Also, we have all kinds of Steamboat Willie merchandise, and there absolutely positively will be brand confusion.
That's what they're banking on, is brand confusion, that if people use Steamboat Willie, that they're going to think that Disney approved it, or that Disney agreed to it, or that somehow it's connected to Disney. And that's what Disney will argue. Well, this Morgan & Morgan did the commercial, which we actually have the commercial. We can probably run it here. It's a link to it. But they even said at the beginning, they were very, very clear, not associated with Disney. At the end, they were very, very clear. It's not associated with Disney. There was no way you could see this in its entirety and assume that, they were saying that they were represented by Disney, or they represented Disney. There's no way you would assume that if you watch the whole piece. But if you come in the middle,
I think they're trying to spring the bear trap to just see how much they can actually get away with, because I wouldn't even go there.
I wouldn't even have gone there either, but it's a funny commercial. So he's doing his Steamboat Willie thing, and it's going along. And yeah, he's ha ha ha, and then he's gonna get in an accident when he hits Minnie.
Yep, but they have,
And okay,
a
so the whole way through
disclaimer.
the commercial, the whole way through the commercial, it is saying the whole way through that it's disclaimed.
Yeah, it's at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, they're saying this is not.
There's no way you can argue that that was not disclaimed.
Well, kids can't read too good. Neither can most of our audience. So it's.
So basically, so then she's mad. Like, how dare you? So she dials the text the law.
Yep.
You know, and then he has to pay her for the accident that he caused.
He's not real happy about that. Was not approved, authorized, or endorsed by Disney.
The whole way through, I guess they said it the whole way through. I didn't realize it was the bottom of the screen the whole way. They make it very clear. So apparently the story is that they did this commercial and they asked Disney, you know, make sure there was not going to be an issue if they, you know, it's a public domain, that, you know, Disney wasn't going to sue them. But Disney apparently declined. That they wouldn't say, no, we aren't going to sue you.
Yeah, because they want that potential threat to be there. Disney, I mean, even if they have no leg to stand on, I've noticed this too. Like, we've gotten threats before from lawyers for different things, and they're very careful in how they word it. And they're like, you may be opening yourself up to litigation. They're not saying they're going to sue you. They're not saying that they have a case. But they're trying to scare you because they're lawyers, and they're trying to basically, you know, be like, oh, well, big scary lawyer wrote me, and you may be opening yourself up to litigation. And it's like, well, no, not if there isn't a case.
Which they know, or they wouldn't have
Which
said
they
maybe.
know, or they'd be like, we're definitely suing you. Yeah.
So they go on here and they're like, they said Disney would not agree. And then the day after, Disney filed a suit against a jewelry company, which I'm assuming is this Red Earth, which is a company that owns like jewelry in China. And they were suing them because they were doing Steamboat Willie pieces. And in those public domain, Disney's going to argue intellectual property rights. So what they want is a judge to say that it's not an infringement of Disney's rights for them to run this commercial. They want a ruling saying that so that they can run the commercial.
They are playing 4D chess. They're trying to get a judge to set a precedent to be like, oh, yeah, you can't sue. Yeah. So this is actually, I mean, it's very clever, because then Morgan & Morgan can be like, oh, we're the ones who pushed Disney to see just how far you could go, and this is how far you can go. And hey, everybody, it's open season on Mickey Mouse. Anybody can use.
Yeah,
like, they haven't bothered too much, but yeah.
But this is going to get Disney's attention because, you know, if the judge does rule that they can run the commercial, you know, where does it end? Then they're not going to be able to argue that you know, we're going to sue everyone who uses Steamboat Willie, even though it's public domain.
Yeah, because a lot of the other uses of public domain Disney characters, including Steamboat Willie, they've made enough changes to those characters that there's no way you could confuse them with the actual Disney versions, right? Mm-hmm. But that commercial is pretty damn dead on. But they made sure that they only used the versions of the characters that were in the original film. Mm-hmm. But again, Mickey Mouse himself is a trademark, and they can argue. I think they could argue that Steamboat Willie, the mascot of Steamboat Willie, is the mascot for Disney Animation Studios, because they've been using him for a number of years now, that they knew this was going to happen. And they'll just say, well, you can't use it because everybody knows Steamboat Willie, the song, the wheel, the whole thing, the look, that is our logo for Walt Disney Animation Studios.
Yeah. So what they're trying, they're going to try to do that because they know if they could land the win here, then precedent could be established. And so I just found the whole thing very interesting. But they are preemptively putting a lawsuit against Disney to be able to, you know, get a judge to rule in their favor to allow the commercial.
Yeah, it's that is interesting.
But the commercial's out anyway. It's all over the internet. I mean, Click Orlando had the story, and they had the video or the commercial.
Yeah, so go out and check that out. I think it's going to be interesting because as we have more public domain characters, or more characters go into the public domain, including a bunch of comic book characters like Superman, Batman are up here pretty soon. As we have more and more of these characters go into the public domain, and these corporate-owned characters, just how far can creators push it? Because I know a lot of people are already talking like, I can't wait to make my public domain Superman comic or Batman comic. I'm like, I don't know if Warner Brothers is going to let you. I don't think
they're not using it as their icon. You know, they're not using it as their brand. It's going to be a lot trickier because this is Mickey Mouse, which is like Disney's brand.
Well,
when you have a bunch of DC comic characters, some of them they could argue that's our brand because they use it on their branding, but other ones they might not, because you can't say that for everyone.
Well, DC Comics is short for Detective Comics, which is where Batman So I mean, there's all
Batman,
kinds of stuff they can.
The one though, yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I wonder too about a lot of the merchandise and stuff too, if they do that deliberately just to be like, oh yeah, we got the trademark on that. Like, even though our copyright might have expired, you know, we put that Batman on a t-shirt and everybody knows the bat symbol and the Gotham, so all that stuff is in other media. And I don't know. I think, because nobody could have planned for this scenario where these megacorps had these characters for decades and decades and decades. So I think they're probably going to want to be new laws made to protect the corporations. I'm going to be honest. Like, they're not going to let you have all their stuff.
No, because they're going to argue that that's theirs. It's their intellectual property.
Yep.
And you're costing them money or potentially damaging their brand. So it is interesting. I'm not sure how this is going to come out, but if they would by some miracle if Morgan would get by some miracle get them the judge to rule in their favor, it's going to get interesting.
Yep. So watch this space. Are we going to wrap it up?
Yes.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.